Tragedy in West Virginia, mine blast killing 25. As we go to air here, it might go up to 29, the death toll, because there are 4 that are missing, and that situation is not very hopeful. There was a massive mine blast at Massey Energy Company's Upper Big Branch mine, and they do a hell of a lot of coal mining there, and they take out 2.2 billion tons of coal reserves from southern West Virginia, eastern Kentucky, Virginia, and Tennessee, and they, of course, make a lot of money doing so. Now, here's the real tragic part of this. Could this have been avoided, of course, is the question that everybody asks. In this case, there seems to be a fairly clear answer. Yes. Just last month, there was 57 regulations that they were in violation of, this mine. In fact, all of last year, they were fined $382,000 for all of the violations of safety, etc. One of the things that they were not doing was properly ventilating the mine. Now, a lot of methane gas builds up in the mine and has to be released. And if it's not released properly with the regulation fans, etc., this is the great advancement we had in coal mining and in different kinds of mining, is that we got the technology that we could release the gas properly so less people would die. Now, if you don't do that, then every once in a while a mine explodes and 25 or 29 people die. And, you know, this happened before in Sago. It was different circumstances, but again, a company that did not follow the regulations, that had a dangerous situation on the ground, that ignored the regulators. And of course, at that time, the Bush administration totally allowed them to ignore the regulators. Some of the fines for the Sago disaster, the company that created the Sago disaster, were comically low. And I remember we did a story back then where we talked about how endangering someone's life in a mine sometimes got you a fine as low as $50. But if you showed Janet Jackson's nipple on air for half a second, that cost $500,000. And we talked about how the priorities of our government and of our society is out of whack. Both those things were happening at the same time then. And at the time we said, hey, mines are very dangerous. You might want to regulate them to make sure that they don't blow up or cave in, etc. Look, for all those Republicans that and libertarians that border on anarchy, that say, oh, government sucks at everything, we shouldn't have government doing anything. Well, how do you explain this? I mean, this is exactly what we need the government to do. And I guarantee you the Fox News answer will be, no, the problem was too much regulation. If you just let the mining companies take the material out of the mountains any way they like, I bet it'd be safer. Really? Actually, we have history on that, because we did mining in this country for a very long time, and it was not safer when we let them regulate themselves. It was much, much less safe, okay? And now, we also had technological developments, to be fair, that made it safer. But you know who demanded that we put that in there, that we put it in all the mines? The government did, to protect the lives of those people. You know what they used to do in Sacramento in gold mining? The company knew that there was a part of the mine that if you did the mining there, basically to simplify, shards of glass almost would get into your lungs and you die within 3 years. Everybody that mined that part of the mine died in 3 years, okay? And that's where the word gold diggers comes from, because there would be women that would come into the area and marry these guys knowing that they would die, and then they'd get all their money. Now, why did they have all that money? Because they were paid 7 times more than the guys that weren't going to die, that were working in the other part of the mine, in the safer part of the mine. But what good did that money do them? So how did the market fix it? Did it fix it by itself by saying, hey, you know what, let's make sure these workers don't die? No, it just paid them a little more and didn't give a rat's ass that they died. The way it got fixed is when the government came in and said, you can't keep killing these workers. Okay, you have to find a way to do this safely, otherwise you're not going to be allowed to do it. And the more we get away from that, and the more we assume that amoral capitalist companies will, out of the goodness of their hearts, protect their workers or do right by society in any way, the more people suffer, whether it's the banks that destroyed the global economy, or in this case, when people literally die. We can't have it. We got to fix it. And it's incumbent now upon the Obama administration to make sure that this doesn't happen again. They have to be a lot tighter with their regulations because people's lives are on the line here. Now, it's not to say that regulation is always the right thing. Let's not be comical about this. It's not a black and white issue. Could there be too much regulation in the field? Of course there could be. Are we there with mining? No, and hell no. How do I know? People keep dying, and mines keep exploding. I know I'm making it overly simple there, but the other way I know is because these are very important safety violations that they ignore because they don't get fined that much. They make a lot more from the mining. They make a lot more from ignoring those violations and those fines than they do by fixing the problems. And that's part and parcel of exactly why this tragedy happened.